I really didn't have any experience. So I was just taking action.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me on this special episode of Purpose Driven Investment. I have my friend Mando here with me today. Hi, Mando. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you? Pleasure to be on your pod. I know this is a new journey for you and you're conquering your own barriers. So I salute you in your journey and thank you for having me on.
Of course. Thank you for willing to come. Especially a lot of time when we're trying to start a small production, right? Trying to find a quality gas is so sometimes a little bit challenging. So I'm so happy that you decided to come over and to talk about your investment journey. We sync up in the past few times during the retreat, and you always struck me as a person. You're born and raised as an entrepreneur. You just scream creativity to me all the time when I see you. I remember the first time I heard about you, and then you kind of just said, hey, I own like different clothing brand as well, and I own rental portfolio all over the place. I'm always curious about how you were managed to do all that. So before we dive into all this specific today, why don't you talk a little bit about your journey so far? How do you become where you are today?
Thank you for that. My name is Mando Hernandez. I'm from New York City. I got into real estate at home. My mom was an investor, so I learned the business at home, and she was an immigrant. We spoke about this earlier. And just immigrants have a different spirit, right? They're more curious. They take different chances, right?
Right.
Sometimes we're as Americans, we get a little jaded and comfortable. It's a natural place to get set in your ways and get comfortable. So she had a different spirit and she was an investor. So when I was a kid here in New York City, she would always want to buy properties, right? Yo, can we buy this building? She'd tell my dad, let's buy this building. Let's do this. Let's do that. And he was like the king of no, 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 right? He was always like knowing, right? So those dream killers can kill you because you don't have no support, especially from a family member. Imagine your husband, you're always so negative in that way. Not that was a negative person because he's very optimistic, but like investing is just something that he just couldn't get his head around. She would go to Costa Rica because she was Costa Rica. She's passed now. He hated to fly. Me and her used to go, and her families used to have stuff for her to do while she was there, buy land and construct houses and stuff like that. So she would do ground up construction, flips, buy and holds. She would just build small homes under 4 units, and then she would buy regular land just to hold, farmland as well, coffee fields. I would say the strawberry fields. She would do a little bit of everything. So I got to see that. Those memories just were there from the onset. And as I got older, I always had kind of her spirit in that way. I had like his optimism, but her spirit of curiosity and always wanting to do. And she actually helped me in my journey when I first started investing in 1999. She helped me with the down payments of my first two properties. So yeah, she was an incredible influence that I got at home. And I was lucky to have that. So I was able to conquer a lot of those limited beliefs. And it was because I got it at home. And it's a difference when you can see it and it's your mom, let's say, you think you can do it. That's kind of how it started for me. Everything I do still, I
You
still
mimic
mimic
her.
her for
Yeah. So
sure.
she's kind of like your role model, so to speak,
Oh
and a
man,
little
she's
bit
my role
dreamer
model. She's
spirit.
my why. She's still so much to me. She was so influential to me. It's just degrees of love that you have with your parents sometimes. I just had a different level of love for her. Like I said, I'm her child. So she was just an amazing, amazing person, not only to me, but the rest of her family. She was the matriarch of her family. She was such a giver. She was the first one here in the States, and she ended up bringing about 15 members of her family legally throughout the years, and
Mm-hmm.
she would find jobs for them where she worked.
Right.
She was just the backbone. It was my grandmother and then her. That's what was the lineage in our family. I have a
I
big, huge
see.
family in Costa Rica. She left a big gap when she passed. I try to fill that in some ways, being who I am and having been raised by both of them, actually, my grandmother and my mother. So I carry their spirits and I like to carry that within our family still. That was kind of the journey, how it started for me.
When she decided to help you out with the down payment of your first two rental, tell us more about that. Where is those houses and how did it go?
We lived in South Florida for a while when I was a kid, and I
Mm-hmm.
always had an affinity for South Florida. Like I still have friends and stuff there.
Right.
I bought a new car. When I bought my first new car, I bought it in Florida and I drove it back up to New York. So I always had a soft spot for South Florida, and I found this house that I still have it. And it was a small house, little under 1,000 square feet. And I needed a small down payment just to do it. She was like, yeah, let's do it. I bought it. I had regular tenants tenants for a while, and that was a hassle because sometimes, imagine this is 25 years ago where everything was by phone. There wasn't really any integration of computers at this level that it is now. I would have to kind of sometimes go back if I had tenants that were in pain, so I had to kind of show a presence. At one time I had to figure it out. I had this bad tenant was in pain, so when I was there, what I did, I went to the housing authority and I found out what is you need to do, like, to get Section 8 and what are the
I see.
requirements. So I kind of started going that direction. I rented out to a tenant who was there about 8 to 10 years. So I kind of figure out other ways to alleviate that long distance pressure of being a long distance investor in that time. So I was able to find a great tenant and I rode that wave as long as I could until the tenant got a little older. And I rinsed and repeated that on this Section 8 to the next tenant as well. Bought a quad in Jersey. And again, she helped me in that as well. And I just repositioned it. I got rid of the tenants. I put new tenants in. I did some light remodeling on the bathrooms that needed it. I really didn't have any experience. I just knew that she did it.
You just ran right in.
Yeah, so I was just taking action, to be honest with you. I was looking to buy properties here in New York City, but it was too expensive. And a friend, when I was working, he said his daughter was a realtor. And he said, hey, you can buy in New Jersey right over the river. I was like, word? I said, cool, let's go. So it hooked me up. And for me, the gauge was like, wow, if these properties in New York were 800,000 and in New Jersey, like a small, like I said, quad was 400,000. For me, it was a deal, right? It was literally just
Because I can
a
afford.
deal. I didn't even know if I was overpaying for the Jersey market or not. I
Right.
just my only comparison was the New York market. So it wasn't like I really even had a lot of skill set to say. All I knew was trying to figure out the mortgage and the cash flow.
I
Like
see. The
that's
cash flow game.
that's
Yeah.
the only metric I had was literally when I kind of did the numbers, it was like, okay, the cash flows, but I didn't know anything else. Did I even overpay? Like I said, I was more just taking action at that time. It's just taking action and figuring it out as you go. To
Wow.
be totally honest, I was doing a lot of remodeling on these bathrooms myself with no experience. I was just figuring it out, just doing it. Like I said, kind of that spirit that my mom carried, and not
Yeah.
be like my dad and think about it, be like, no, no. So yeah, that's kind of how it worked out. And I still own these properties as well.
Yeah, that's such a great example because you touched on a few point I want to highlight. You mentioned about you don't even know what's going on or fully understood the spec of underwriting and all that. All you know is the cash flow metric and just taking action. You figure it out. That's such a key trait I see from a lot of very successful entrepreneur because they don't do overthinking. Because by the time you jump in, you learn from it and you're just taking action, right? By the time that you realize that people haven't even made decisions, you already did it a couple of times, learn from it, and move on. That's why, sir, you're so successful. So share a little bit with us about how you become this like a long distance investor. Because I know you live in Brooklyn, New York, right? It's not a cheap market. And you share with me like you own houses pretty much all over the place. Tell us more about that. And how did you manage all that?
Yeah, like I said, just to touch on what you just mentioned, I take life like kind of a pool, like a cannonball. Some people walk in the pool and they get cold. Oh my God, I'm freezing, right? And by that time, I already cannonball in the pool,
Yeah.
right? So I kind of just get rid of that
The
anticipation when I'm
overthinking.
cold,
Yeah.
overthinking. I just go poof and it's over, right? It's done. Now I'm in. I'm in now, right? So that's kind of
Right.
how I take
I
life
gotta
as
figure out how
well.
to swim. Swim
Yeah.
out of this. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've owned properties. Like I said, I've inherited some properties as well in Costa Rica. I have a single family brownstone in New York. I have a quad in Jersey, a couple single families in Florida. I recently partnered with Mike Manatsakani and he did a raise on co-living. So I partnered with that on some co-living properties. And I have a project that still hasn't closed yet in Dallas, Fort Worth. So hopefully that closes soon. That's a fix and flip. And I
Fix and
look
flip.
forward. Yeah, it's with another partner in our community. So like I said, that's kind of what's on the horizon. And I'm always looking for new opportunities to invest. What I'm doing now is more on the co-living side, affordability, helping out on that end of the spectrum. Life is so expensive for so many people. We're the ones that as investors gonna have to figure it out. How do we have that happy medium of having a profit and then serving a purpose as well and be able to alleviate people's needs when life becomes
Right.
somewhat so unaffordable, especially the metro areas. Imagine you work in a ballpark or whatever a parking garage and you're a workforce American between 30 and 60,000, but you're outpriced in the metros, right? You have to then drive 2 hours away to come back to the right. And this is
It's too
specifically
expensive.
more, this is kind of geared towards more like single people. So my profile is kind of more the single workforce person. I can source a property close to a metro and they just have to rent the room and they can literally build their life from that the rent is not breaking them. So now they know exactly what they're paying for rent. It's usually under $250 a week, depending the room. So you know that's manageable. And then you can build yourself from there as well.
Right. And I like that because maybe we can kind of dive into co-living. What's co-living? It has been a very popular term nowadays, and it's simply rent by room model, right? A lot
That's
of
it.
big city, very expensive. Then you have these workforce housing people that they come in, they work in the city. They can't afford to live in the city. They might have to catch a metro maybe 2 hours away, somewhere they can't afford. But if they can just rent a room, quality housing, which is a common living space, right? Shared kitchen, living room, then they can afford to live in a better area with the less money out of pocket.
Absolutely. Is a place that you can catapult your situation. You have to have the mindset already, I guess, to know, okay, this is the situation I'm in. How can I get better? What I need to do to be able to get myself out of this situation. It's not like
Right.
people want to cohabitate like that, say with
Yeah.
strangers. This point is a necessity for a lot of people, not saying everyone. And then what is it that you do to get better out of a situation? Is it take a course that you need to learn from and then
Right.
add additional income to your salary, then you can say, hey, I'm in a better position now. I can maybe now even rent an apartment. I can
Right.
look
Afford
forward to
to.
expand because
Right.
this is a place, like I said, is more geared to a single person
Single
who's
person.
in
Yeah.
this situation to be able to help themselves financially and grow from it as well.
How has it been for you owning a co-living houses? How profitable?
Well, all that stuff is done on the front end. You make your money on the front end and you have to just buy right. You buy right,
Right.
you finance right. It's kind of a method. If you write conservatively and know the numbers that you want, what I like to do is leverage Pad Split. Pad Split is a model kind of like Airbnb platform. So they have all the data onboarded into their site. So I like to leverage their data to tell you what price points are going on, what's the demand in an area. So I like
Right.
to leverage their data for me to identify, okay, these are the locations that I want to buy. And then it's all in the numbers, right? The numbers is going to tell you if this is a profitable deal or not. So it's all in the underwriting. It's all in that skill set to be able to identify properties through the data, leveraging data, underwriting the deals that kind of say, okay, this what works. Have some margins because you're going to need a property manager as well to manage the property for
Right.
you. Let's say for me, I'm a long distance investor. I definitely have to have margins to be able to sustain a property manager. So that's built into the formula. Some people are more local to their areas, and
Right.
some people may want to manage this stuff. I don't know who. I know that's something I
But you're
wouldn't want
not
to do.
managing.
That's something I don't want to do in long term is be able to be so hands-on to manage the managers, let's say. Meeting a lot of people in the area, say you're foreign to the area, they're not familiar. Just try to meet as many people as possible in kind of property managers, handymen, fix and flippers, agents, whatever it is, lawn care people, whatever it is.
Right.
You want to have multiple teams to be able to execute. If something goes wrong with someone you relied on, you kind of built on some back end people. We're in Atlanta and Dallas, Fort Worth, and we're always connecting in those local markets, bird dogs, whoever it is. Just like I said, I like to dig deep and not wide. So we have plentiful resources and people. Again, it's a people business, networking business, and leveraging relationships. Always follow up as well, be present in people's minds to be able to help you one day when needed, and vice
Right.
versa.
I think that's super smart because you just mentioned about there's so many market, right? And you're also sounds like you're very careful. You dive in deep. You build connection in specific markets. So you have sounds like you have multiple team member. Even though you're a long distance investor, you might have multiple cleaner to call, multiple plumber to call. Like you did some ground research before you decide to dive into that market. Do you have any partners locally to help you with that as well?
I have partnered with our members in the community. So I do have a partner who's also an investor, and we kind of divvy up our responsibilities. You kind of have to identify your strengths and your weaknesses. I like to partner up with people who are strong in stuff that I'm not. I look for more integrators, operators, that type of personality who like dives into the numbers and stuff like that,
Right.
and really geeks out and stuff like that.
Geeks
Sort of
out
like
on
you,
numbers.
right?
Kinda like
So
me.
absolutely. And I'm more the extrovert. I'm the connector. I'm
Right.
more out there meeting people, networking, following up. That's more my skill set. I'm a visionary. I'm a big thinker, a big dreamer. So I like to chase a lot of things. So that's kind of my space that I'm comfortable and live in. And it's kind of always been in my nature. Like I said, I'm from New York City. I've done a little bit of everything here in New York. So that's kind of my lane. So I look for the opposites. So I identify people that have a different skill set than me. So then we can merge these skill sets and then be able to create opportunities for ourselves.
Right. So it sounds like you specific target the partner will kind of complement your skill, the opposite of who you are, and they come and just kind of become a perfect match.
Yeah, let me tell you how that's happened for me. Since we belong to an exclusive community and we've done retreats, multiple retreats, after a while, it becomes sort of second nature, right? You've been to 4 or 5 of these events. Okay, you know how stuff works and what you want. So, what I
Right.
always do, I'm always very self aware. So, I always identify things when I go to a retreat or a summit, a convention. I always want to identify things that I want to get better at when I leave. These are things I want to get better, right?
Right.
Like a basketball player. I want to learn how to shoot better. You got to practice your shooting. So I kind of
Right.
identify skill sets that I want to get better. And when I go home, I try to work on those. And then by our next retreat, I've accomplished those skills. That's things I always identify to get better. Hopefully, that's a pro tip for people who are in communities. You want to extract as much out of it of these network events as possible. Work on your weaknesses and identify those people in these rooms that you know, hey, me and this person might make a good match.
Right.
They bring
Right.
us a certain skill set. I bring a certain skill set. Now let's start what's called like a dating process, right? Let's see
Right.
if we can merge our skills and see if it makes sense, our values and our direction. And that's kind of how it works for me. I identify people that I want to work with, I want to hang out with as well. And let's see if this is a direction that we can go. I've identified different partners in our community. Like I've identified a partner I want to fix and flip with. Also,
Mhm.
owners club. Cool, let's do that. We have a project in the works. Co-living, I partner with someone else and who's
Right.
also wants to be a buy and hold investor, who is also a buy and hold long-term investor. So we have the same
Same
principles in
vision.
that way, right? So it makes sense already. And this person brings this type of skill set. And we belong to another community within our community called Super Investors, which is Mike
Mhm.
Manatsakanya's community. And that makes sense as well. So all these dots make sense. I partner also, I do DCR loans, refis. I'm a loan broker with another member, Jose Cortez. Shout out to Jose. And like I said, he has a certain type of skill set, and I do as well. And now we just kind of merge them together and create opportunities for ourselves and our community members.
Right. So that DSCR broker, I'm so curious. So how did you kind of dive into that? Because loan broker is, I would say it's a different type of business from the real estate business though they.
I did it kind of to be able to have access to brokers as well that I can then save on, let's say, origination fees on refis and on co-live. If I need to do a DSCR loan, I can do it myself and I can save costs in origination fees. It's just being in the
Ah,
inside
I
than being on the
see.
outside.
That's very smart.
And knowing that there's so much trending towards this direction, like DCR loans, I said this is something that I can do as well. And it's a money making activity for me as well.
Okay, so explain to our audience what is DSCR? What does that mean?
It's a loan that's based on income of a property. It's not where you have to bring in your tax statements. You got to go to the
Mm-hmm.
bank. People who've done that, it's just so tedious and they ask so much red tape of you. They ask for your arm,
Right.
your leg, everything, right? So a DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio, and it's just based on the property, the asset itself, what it cash flows. So there's metrics that identify if this makes sense as a potential for a loan. And it's
Right.
literally based on the asset. So it's kind of very simple. It's not based on you as the borrower. If your property meets the ratios, you're gonna qualify. So it's kind of very simple and it's a great tool to have in your toolkit. As for me as a broker, that I can say I have the skill set, I can source my own loans as well. Like I said,
Right.
save on fees, and it's a money making activity that can provide an alternative resource to my community as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because you mentioned about asset-based lending. For me, that's actually a safer way to lend for the bank as well because they're not banking on the person performing or not performing. They're banking on the asset. If the asset is making money, then they're secure rental cash flow, how much cash flow they bring every month. They can kind of see how safe they can lend the money to this person. What is the current down payment ratio industrial, that DSCR lender, they're asking people to buy?
It's detail specific to a property. I like to say, let's get a quote. Let's get you a quote to see exactly what's going on. That's kind of a very general question to ask, but I like to tell people, let's get you a quote. Could be 75%, 80%, no seasoning periods. It's all just contingent
I
on the
see.
deal.
Multiple factor.
If you have a project and you want to get it across the table, we put you in and we'll fit you kind of to what you're looking for. That's kind of how we like to work it.
You get to save the origination fee. Typically, would they charge 1 or 2% of the origination fee?
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the business to make money. So there is a cost to do business. Again, that's kind of a service that we provide, and we can kind of cater you to a lender as well, fit your specific needs to a specific lending product, right? So that's the advantage that we have, that we're in the back to be able to have the Rolodex to see what lenders create. So it gives us an opportunity to connect you.
Yeah, that's a good resource to have because you're always on pause with what's going on. How much is this cost? Going to cost
Yeah,
me? You know the cost of the money.
I learned that from mom as well. She was a lender off the books, she did it all. And I just picked up all these skill sets from her. I saw one time when I started learning about this community, I'm in astro flipping. So I learned first about this community through Astro and Jamil. Shout out to him. And then I saw in my algorithm Pace, Gator
Mhm.
lending. And I just kept on swiping away my phone. Who's this guy, right, with a
And
hat?
he's
And
right there.
and then one day I did let me click, and I was like, oh my God, you could lend money professionally. I had no clue. It was all foreign to me. So I was like, oh man, I love this idea. This is something that for me resonates. I've been going down that journey. You have to be very careful. A lot of people are led by ego. Oh, I did a deal. I did this. I did that. But they're not
Right.
very well protected. And you gotta protect yourself when things go wrong. That's where you really have to think about safety. I've been burned prior to all this community. So I come with a sense of safety first and having all the paperwork aligned, protect yourself with the paperwork. And this just lending and brokering, it just kind of makes sense to what I'm doing on that space as well. As like I said, just another branch of what I'm doing in real estate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're kind of intertwined, also somewhat related as well, like the cost of capital, access to money, how to safely lend and borrow.
It's like real estate is the tree and everything is the branches. Co-living,
Right.
affordable housing, DSCR lending, my merch brand. I also have a merch brand. I'm gonna show you
Right.
here.
Yeah. Tell us more about your
So I
merch.
created a merch brand. It's investor friendly. I've never seen anyone do it but me. So it's called investordeli.store. And if you see,
Hmm.
this is a hoodie created. It's hot pink for the ladies. It's creative queens. This is a hot selling item that resonates with a lot of the ladies as well. This is one of my collections. And I have other like
Do you have a
tea.
website? Can we
I
we
do.
can drop in the link.
It's called investordeli.store. That's kind of my name. That's my YouTube channel as well. It's called the investordeli.store. And I have plenty of different type of merch. I have cash flow, deal flow. I have like inspirational tees like Think Big. You can't see the rest. But yeah, this is
Yeah.
kind of my fun project. This is something that I always wanted to do. Like I told you, I'm very artsy. So this is just creative outlet to do something in the space and just integrate all of who I am into everything that I'm doing.
I can tell from your smile, it's also a fun thing for you to do. It just
Man, I wanted to do this for so long. I got accepted when I was very young into a fashion industries high school, and I didn't go. I got accepted and I didn't go. I had to draw an art piece and I drew it. It's like graffiti, and I got accepted. And I just something I don't know. I wish my mom would have kind of told me, no, don't go there. Right? I went to a different school and it didn't turn out. So I've had these visions of being on like the fashion and art side forever. It's kind of who I was. Being in this community with Pace gave me the permission to be able to wake up dormant dreams and ideas that I had, right?
right.
So I've loved the journey. Sometimes you just don't know how to do it, but me as kind of an action taker, I kind of just do it, and having faith has Pace ingrained of us. You do the work, the magic is in the work you're avoiding. So if you do the magic, if you do the work, you'll see the magic, right?
Magic. Yeah.
So it's always been challenging to create something out of nothing. Podcasting, I have a podcast as well. All this stuff was, how do I do this stuff?
Wow, that's such an amazing journey. You have houses. I know you have houses in Florida, New Jersey, New York. Where else that you didn't talk about? You have South Florida houses. It sounds like you have multiple projects going on. How did you manage all that? Do you have a team?
I do and I don't. I delegate my property managers. My properties are tenant-based management, except for one. But I create a culture with a tenant and I empower them. And these tenants become long-term tenants. And that's how it's worked for me. And I've been doing this forever prior to even being in these communities. I just always empowered a tenant. And through God's grace, I've been able to keep a lot of these tenants long-term. And it's been very fruitful. I've done Section 8. I've done multifamily. I've partnered in some bigger multifamily projects that we've exited. We did a 30-unit full gut in Cincinnati. This is years ago after the recession. And then we did a repositioning on a 40-unit in Arkansas as well that we exited. So yeah, I've done a little bit of everything in real estate. I haven't done mobile home parks and RV parks, a
So maybe
boutique
that's what we should
hotel.
do. I'm shopping
So
for a big mobile home park as well. What's your favorite? You tried so many things so far. What would you say is your personal favorite or
I,
the
I
the,
don't
the
think I've had
success story?
I don't think I've had my personal favorite yet. I don't
Okay.
think I've hit that. I don't think I've done that yet. I felt great about purchasing these properties. Those are the accomplishments. Real estate is problem solving. They call it real estate. I like to call it problem solving. One problem comes, another one around the corner, and you have to kind of be prepared. Let me tell you a story. I bought this building, this 4-unit in Jersey. I closed on it. I went to nursing school. I got accepted to a great private nursing school in the city. And my first day, this is before I got accepted to nursing school, I had to go back to college and take all these remedials. So it was my first day of school. It was in late August. My first day going back to college after so many years. I parked my car and one of the tenants called me hysterically that the bathroom was flooded. Water everywhere in the bathroom from the toilet, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow, I'm going into school. First day, I just bought this building like 10 days ago. I closed on it.
So not typical student.
And then I told my sitting in the car while this person is telling me, I said, this is what you wanted. You wanted to buy a building. This is what you wanted to do. So I had to convince myself, you got to go and rip. I didn't have a team yet. I literally just bought it. I had to make a decision there and say, hey, school got to wait another day. So one of the kids threw like a spray top or something. And
Mhm.
they got clogged in there. So I had to get a manual snake. It was a hardware store across the street.
Right.
So I was
Yeah.
able to kind of figure it out. These are the decisions that we make as investors. And when something goes wrong and you have to step up.
I don't miss those years. When I first started 8th grade, that because it's your first investment is always your baby. I remember our first rental house
That's
that
true.
we do a lot of work ourselves because it's your first one. You try to save as much as you can make up more cash. So there's a lot of late night hour. Fortunately, that was the time we don't have a kids yet, which is kind of like, oh my, finish your day job. Okay, wrap it up, fight, and then drive to the rental house, start working on it. And my husband will do the flooring. I'll do other stuff. I'll do the painting. I am good at painting. So we're basically using our own contractor.
It's very
And you
true.
upgrade the house, and then you get better rent, and you just kind of improve upon that. Right now, you don't do the work anymore. You hire out, right?
I don't do any of that. I leaned on people to be able to do that stuff. I just get a phone call and I just approve or let's get another
Yeah, get a
option.
call.
Yeah, that's not my space any longer. I've gone through those stages. Now it's just having someone else do it, delegate, empower other people, and just have follow-ups with people just to keep what's going on and what's happening. I'm long past that stage.
Can you share with us, since you're a long time landlord, buy and hold investor, also long distance investor, what would you say that the lesson learned that you could share with our audience that you wish you would know?
What we're in now, our creative community. There was so much time in between that I had properties. My properties were bought traditionally. And if you deal with the banks, but there's so many you can buy, you have this portfolio and going to banks, they're going to look at your income, your taxes. If you're not claiming your taxes, you can, so many levers
It's like,
when
you
you
don't
do
make
the
enough money. We don't want to lend you money.
when you do the traditional way that I did, I just hit a wall. I just hit a
Uh,
wall for so long. I just couldn't figure it out. How do people do this? I didn't really know about hard money lenders and fix and flips for a long time. Even though I was in the game for a long time, I was in the game traditionally, like paying out of pocket down payment and doing that way, that investment. So there was a long gap in the middle where I didn't know these skills, didn't know this creative ways to invest. My introduction was Jamil thing in in 2019, around there. That's when I started noticing a lot of this stuff. Wow, wholesaling. I joined and I realized that wasn't me. I'm not a wholesaler. That was the introduction into this community. And then Pace came along and it resonated more with me. I was like, wow, no way, I can lend. Oh, you can buy houses subject to
Right.
and creative seller financing. I did know somewhat about seller financing because that's kind of how it's played in multifamily. So I did have a little bit of that knowledge base, but I still was ignorant to a lot of stuff until I started being around this community where it kind of opened my horizons again. I said, wow, this is it. I love it here.
Yeah, any creator, any entrepreneur would just love this kind of creative way of buying real estate. I was kind of blown away by it as well.
Anyone who's watching and wants to join the real estate community, you got to join the country club, which is sub 2. You got to join it. It's a community where you're going to be astounded by the value you get in the community. It's a one-time pay. I call it your initiation fee. You're in, and there's so many goal givers. Take advantage. If you're thinking of joining something, then look no further than sub 2 for real. Gator, if you're a lender, you want to do Gator, you want to lend money. Gator, if you like to do more technical stuff, paperwork, that's your thing. You could do
Yep,
top
that's
tier
me.
TC. This community has it all in the real estate sector. Everything.
I think that's why we're dominating the space right now. There's so much noise going on and there's so much deal that being made because it's all it takes about the finding the right person, finding the right partner and make it happen. So
Yeah,
what's next for you?
Pace is doing a challenge, a Gator challenge for us on the
Right.
Gator side. So me and Jose, we're going to Nashville for a short-term rental seminar, Airbnb. Pace
Okay.
introduced us. He's gonna be speaking
Okay.
that first day.
Oh,
So
you're
he's
doing a
gonna
workshop? Is that your
it's no,
workshop
it's a
next?
short-term rental. It's a big deal. It's in a Airbnb space, the short rental space. Is this mentor? So Pace certified him as the official guy you want to connect. So he's bringing us Gators the money to that community. So I'll be going there with my partner Jose. We'll be going there next month. I'm going to Monterey, California soon in a couple of days, where we're
Yeah, I'll
gonna
see you there.
that where we get to be with our community. So that's exciting, and looking to create more opportunities and learn more and see where more of my weaknesses lie at, where I can get better and just have the time of our lives and have some fun.
I'm so glad you mentioned about short-term rentals. I'm actually in the process building my first ever short-term rental houses from ground up construction. It's gonna be amazing and sort of terrifying as well because it's our first time building things from the dirt, like ground up construction from initial design, final drawing, engineering drawing. It's not even fixed it up. There's no house you're building from the ground up. So I'm excited about that. I will probably be documenting that from start to finish on Instagram, and we can then talk about maybe had another podcast coming to talk about like short-term rental and all that. A lot of my friends, they were high income W-2 earner. So we don't really have a lot of tax saving strategy for us. And short-term rental cost segregation, that's like the best way to say.
I love that you work with what you got. I love that ground up concept. I look forward to being in that space. I'm doing the co-living. I'm buying existing homes and repositioning them, adding walls. I know I can only do so many of those. So I do have like a pivot in my Mount Everest where I'll buy 20 to 25 existing homes, co-living homes, and then
Right.
pivot to ground up construction, kind of what you're stepping into now,
Yeah.
and
Bigger
just to feel
game.
that curiosity and that need to do something different, but in the same space as well. You just want to be able to grow and do something new. That's kind of what I created for myself. All right, you can do this for this long for so many
And you gotta
properties,
upgrade.
and then pivot into more like ground up, even still affordable housing, ground up construction where you can control the sizes of units. Now every unit can have an individual bathroom, right? If
Right.
you buy a traditional
Purposely
house,
built.
exactly. So when you buy a traditional house, you got to work with the bones that you have. So you might not be able to add other bathrooms. You got enough space to add other rooms. So that's kind of what's on the horizon as well.
Wow, that's super exciting. So I'm so happy for you. And it sounds like you have a lot of going on, a lot of big project, a lot of great opportunity in the horizon. What are you looking for? People wanted to connect with you. What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I'm always looking for lead gen. I'm always looking for more deals in the Atlanta metro and the Dallas Fort Worth areas. Those are my two primary markets that I'm doing business in. So if you have any deals or you want to connect or you want to have a conversation, we'll start building a relationship, you can contact me on my IG page. This is Manifesting Mando on IG, Manifesting Mando. You can reach me also on my YouTube page is called the Investor Deli Podcast. And that's where I live at in my social media channels. Those are my connections. I also have a buy box video that I can have Shinyi attached to the description. And you can reach me there by email as well.
That's wonderful. We definitely share all that so people can reach out to you and then bring you some leads and let's do some business together. Thank you
Yes.
again for coming up.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
Thank you.